Hello and welcome back to V8 TechWorks. So today we are going to start building this application. So we have our front end here where the user will be able to interact with the application. Also, we are going to build the admin dashboard here as I talked in the last video. So if you haven't watched the other video, just go back and watch the video for introduction so that we can be on the same page. So here also I have a design that is for Figma that I prepared for this application. So the other thing that you can see here is we have our diagram, and we are going to use this in order for us to be able to see how we'll be able to start building this application. So I want us to start building this application from the backend here. And if you can see here, we have this folder that we are calling Send It, and Send It has 4 folders here. We have admin here. Also, we have our backend, and we have our background services here, and then we have our front end. So here I want to add another part that is called admin. So I can drag this here. So let me select this. That is called front end here. So, or maybe let me actually create the admin here, and because we have admin here, this is our admin. So let me drag the admin right here again, and using our admin here, let me add here, let me call it admin first of all, and this one, and we can show using these arrows. Also it will be getting the data from our backend, that is. So I'm going to use these arrows here. So this is arrow 1, and then here also we'll have arrow 2. That is pointing to the backend here. So that means that it will be fetching the data from our backend, and also it will be sending the data also to our backend. And then the other thing that you'll be able to notice is that it's not actually communicating with our background services, because our background services is a standalone backend. It is only communicating with our database here. So let us create this project from scratch. So I'm going to actually close this here, the code here, and I'm going to create a new folder in my documents. So let me just close also this one here, the terminal. So here I'm going to go back, and then now right here we are in the documents here. I'm going to create a folder using mkdir, and then here I can call this send it. That is the name that I give this system. So send it here like that, and then right here I can cd into send it folder, and then I can open now the VS Code. So let me open the VS Code using code and then dot here. So this will be an empty folder, so we are waiting as the VS Code is opening here. So here you can see this is the VS Code that is opening, and then inside here now I'll be creating the folders that we require in our system. So first thing first that we are going to do is also to make sure that we have the right plugins. So when you are in a VS Code, or if you are using VS Code, you can be able to make sure also that you have installed various extensions. So the first extension that we are going to use here is Prettier. So just type Prettier here, and you'll be able to get the plugin that is called look for Prettier plugin, and you'll be able to see this extension here that is called Prettier. You can see already have installed it. Also we can look for something else that is called console ninja, something of the sort. Then you can be able also to install this, and then the last plugin that I want you to actually install is this that is called Firefly Pro. So we can also install this Firefly here, so that also if you want this, the theme that my VS Code has. So actually it is this Firefly Pro here, and when you install this Firefly Pro, you'll be able to get this appearance that I have for my VS Code. So I'm going now to create the folders that we require in our system. So the first folder that we are going to have is our backend. So here is our backend. Also the other one that we are going to have is our background services. So background services called that, and then the other one is a front end. So we are going to have also the front end where the user will be able to interact with our system, and also we are going to have admin. So let me also add admin here. Let me add admin, and then now let's go back also to our diagram here and see also other things that we are going to have. So now we can be able to first of all start by backend here. So I'm going to take this line here, and also I'm going to cancel this part that is called backend, because that's the part that you are going to handle right now, or the part that you are going to start handling right now. And also the other part is our database here, the MongoDB database. So let's get into this part that you are calling backend folder, and then let us open the terminal here. So a new terminal, also you can be able to use PowerShell, or also be able, if you come here down, you can be able to see this drop down where you can be able to select git bash and also other terminal here. So you can see command prompt git bash. If you have installed git bash, you can also be able to install to use git bash. So also I'm going to push this part that is called the back console, or even I can be able to close it. So let me close it so that we can have this space. So inside here, because we are in this folder that is called send it, I can be able to see into now what we are, the folder that is called backend. And right here now I will be able to initialize my node application. So to initialize node application, you need to do npm and then init and then -y, and then we'll be able to initialize our Node.js application. So if I do this, you'll be able to see also it has created another file that is called package.json in this backend here. And inside here now, we can also be able to install other packages that we require to build this application. So the first package that we are going to require is Express. So I'm going to install them. So npm install Express, and also we are going to also use Mongoose. I am going also to install or to require .env package, and we can have course like that. The other thing is we can have is or maybe let me start by also installing on this. And right here I want you to notice something that we have or will occur in this folder here. You'll be able to see that we're going to have node modules. So we are going to have node modules package folder, that is. So that's where the packages will be installed. And inside this also, the backend, I'm going to add here index.js like that. And this is the entry point for our application. So this is where now we are going to start building our application. So before these packages have been, or when these packages are being installed, the other thing that I want you to do is to create another file here. So we are going to have a file that is called gitignore in the root of this project here, and this is where we are going to actually enter things, or we are going to add things that we don't want to push to our GitHub. So this is .env. The first thing that we don't want to push is .env, and also we don't want to also push node modules where we will be able to, or where the packages are installed. So we are not going to push this to our GitHub. So because this .env will have our secret keys and maybe API keys and something that we don't want it to be public. So let it also finish installing those packages. So now let me just save this file that is called gitignore. And then the other thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to close this, and then in here now I can be able to start my application. So first thing first, I'm going to require to import express. So I'm going to import express here, and in Node.js we use require so that we can be able to import that package. So this is express, and you can see here it is as if that express is not installed already. So we are going to wait until these packages have been installed. So I'm going to pause here, and then I will return when these packages will be. So now all the packages have been installed. So the other thing that I'm going to require here is .env. So I'm going to import .env here. So require .env package. So .env, and then also I'm going to import course, and then let me import course here like that. So the other thing that I'm going to import actually is a mongoose. So let me import mongoose here like that. So this is also is a mongoose. So let me import that package. You can be able to see the auto completion here. So the other thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to create middlewares. So let me comment here middlewares. So here is a middlewares, and before middlewares here I'm going to in config.env so that we'll be able to use the file .env. So here is .env.config, and this will help us to be able to actually make sure that we can have, or we can use the files that are in the .env file. But we have not created .env file. So inside this backend here, I'm going to create a file that is called .env, and this is where we are going to create some of the things that we don't want to push to our GitHub. So this is, we are going to call this first thing that we are going to have in this .env is a DB or database, and then also we are going to have the port where our server will be running, and also we are going to add other things as we are going to require them. So here I'm going to use port 8000 first of all, and then let me save this, and also I'm going to close that file, and then when we create DB we are going to also add it there. So now that is it. So here for the middlewares, I'm going to first of all use Node middlewares. So I'm going to do first of all I'm going to initialize application, and to do that you need to do const app and then express, and then here I can be able to actually now make sure that I have initialized the app. So here for the middleware I can be able to use app.use, and here we can be able to now use things like course here, so that we can be able to also make sure that we able to make requests from this backend here. So we are going to also to add other middlewares here. So let us first of all not concentrate with that. So also down here I'm going to create server. So I'm going to make sure that here we have a server, and to create a server we are going to make sure that we listen to our port, to a certain port that we created in our .env file. So here we can use, to do that, to listen to a certain port, we can use app.listen as a function, and then this function require two things. So the first argument here will be from our port, so or the port number, and that's why you can be able to see here I have used process.env and then .port. That will be able to access this .env file here, and then we'll be able to retrieve this variable that we are calling port. Or if we go back here, you can be able to see we have this port. Or else also you can be able to create a variable here. So here we can be able to create a variable that is called port, and then here I can be able to do process.env and then .port like that, and then here I can be able to use now this variable that is called port. So that is the long process. So Let me do that. And then the other argument that we are requiring in this app.reason is a callback function. So here we need to have a callback function like that. So this one is anonymous function, and that's why you can see it doesn't have any name. So here I'm going to console log so that we can be able to see if our server is running. And then I'm going to use text interpolation. So I'm going to use a backtick here, and I can add any text here. For example, mine here, I'll say server is running on port, and then I can specify now the port. So using this variable, so that is it. That is how you do text interpolation. And then the other thing that we are going to do is now we can be able to run our application. So let's try and run this application. So let's do that, and you can be able to use NodeMon. So if you have not installed NodeMon, make sure that you have installed NodeMon, because NodeMon will help us to be watching our code when we are coding, and then it will be able to restart our server. So this is NodeMon, and then we are going to use index.js, and then let's try and run our application. So yeah, you can see here server is running on port 8000 here. So that means that we can also be able to do other things, because anyway our server is running. So the other thing that I want to do here is our database connection. So I'm going to create another comment here, database connection. Let me do that here. So database connection right here, and then here we'll be able to make sure that I do database connection. And to do that, I'm going to use Mongoose. So I'm going to do Mongoose package, and then I'm going to use a function that is called connect. And this one here, I'll be able to have the inside here, I'll be able to have like the variable for our database. So I'm going to do const, and then I can do db, and then because our db is in this file that is called .env, I can do process.env.db, the way we called it in our .env, as you can see here. So we have this .db. So now that is it. So here inside I'm going to use db, and then if it connects successfully, then we are going to have here another function that is called then, and inside this then we can have callback function here, and here is where we can be able to add another text, and then we can console log and say we are going to actually say our db connection is successful, db connection is successful, like that. Also, the other thing that I'm going to have here is a .then, and then we can have also another function that is called .catch, and this function here will be able to catch any error that we can have when we are trying to connect to our database. And here is also a callback function, and right here also you can be able to see that we are going to have an error, so we can console log that error. So console.log here, console log, and then we can console log that error here, like that. But right now we have not created our database, and that's why you can see here our db variable here is empty. So that's what we are going to do. So if you have never used MongoDB, then we are going to process one step at a time. So let's go into our browser here, and then let us go to MongoDB website. So either way, you can use MongoDB website to create your database, or even you can install MongoDB into your local computer. So let us first of all make sure that we create our account, and also we be able to log into that account in this website for MongoDB. So I know signing up is a very simple process, so I'm not going to do that for you. So if you haven't signed up, you can use GitHub and also Google here. So because I have already done that, let us proceed on logging in. So here I have my credentials. So let me click this button, logging in, and then now we'll be able to be redirected to the dashboard for the database that I have already created in my account. So if you haven't created any database, also I will be able to show you how to create the database in this MongoDB website. So it is loading, and then here you can be able to see all the project that I have created here in the MongoDB. So I'm going to create a new project right now. So let me do that. Here I can scroll down, and then after all this project here, I can click here new project. And I don't know what I will call this project. Maybe I can call it a Parcel Delivery System. And then let me do that as it is loading here. So let's see also if our application is still running, and you can see here our application has crashed because we don't have any connection for our database, and that's why you can be able to see here it is giving us error. So let's first of all make sure that we create our project. So the project, we are calling it parcel, let's call it parcel delivery. So let me try this parcel delivery or let me call it full stack parcel full stack parcel delivery system here, like that. And then here I can click next, and then here I can be able to actually choose the here the permission, give your members access permission below. So also you can be able to do that here. So I'm going to create now project right here, and then also after the project we can be able to create now the database. So let it run here. So then let me also make sure that everything is okay in our index.js. Yes, everything is okay. So let me see also if it is has finished loading. So yes, so now you can see up here on the top left, you can be able to see our project now has been selected, and here you can be able to create cluster. So let me click here, create cluster, and then we'll be able to create the database. So you can see here databases, you can see databases here. And now here you can see option that you can choose for. Here, for example, you can see we have these clusters that is M10 here that is paid, but if you look here on your right, you can be able to see MO here, which is a cluster that is free, and you'll be able to get 512 MB here storage, and also the RAM here, they are saying that it is shared. Then you'll be having a vCPU. So let me select this because we are starting with a free version or free trial here. And then here you can be able to select if you want your database to be in AWS or maybe Google Cloud, and the other one for Microsoft here. So I'm going to just leave it at AWS. And also here you can see the region that you want to host your database. So there is Ireland, Paris here, and maybe South Africa. So let me just leave it at Bernheim. So here also I can come here on the bottom right, and I'll be able to create the deployment. So, and also you can see later on, if you don't want to pay, you can just install MongoDB into your local machine and or your server, and then you not be required to pay. So let me also make sure that I solve this reCAPTCHA. So this is they are looking for the cars, so let me do that here. So I'm hoping that I have I've done that right, the recaptcha. So yes, so now it is creating for us the cluster, and right here you can see that you have username and password, but we won't require that right now. I'm going to show you how you'd be able to create a username and password so that we can be able to access the database when we are doing the connection. So here you can see choose a connection method, and also here you can be able to choose how you need to how you need to connect, or how you want to connect to this database. So choose a connection method. You can see I want to connect using drivers. You can do other things like shell, you can do MongoDB for VS Code, but right now I'm going to use drivers. So here you can also be able to use, you can select if you want, if you are using Node.js, Java, Kotlin, Mongoose, and many other. So here also you can see the version here. So you can see this is also the terminal command for installing MongoDB. And right here, because we are not going to install into our local machine, we are going to use the live MongoDB in their website. I'm going to use this URL that they have provided here. So I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to actually make sure that I add it here in .env like that. But here you can see here you need to add the username and then the password. So let me first of all make sure that I complete the process. So after that, now you can see here now we have the database. So this is where you'll be able to see the database. And then if you scroll down here on your left, you'll be able to see something like network access, database access. So let me click here on the database access. And here I can be able to add a new user. So add a new database user. And here I can be able to create a user. So let me do that like that, and then also I'm going to provide the password like that. So after that, I'll be able to select the role here. I'm going to say that this is Atlas admin, and then now I can add this user like that. So now I have a username and password, so I'm going to replace them here. So let me make sure that I add them here like that, and then the password also here. So you can add also as many username and password as you want. So I'm going to save that, and then the last process, or the last step that we have left with, is network access here. And here now you can see the IP address. It has added my IP address by default, but I'm going to add another IP address. So here I'm going to add the IP address to access from anywhere. So this is 0.0.0, and then /0 here. That means that it will be accessed from anywhere, or even you can click here on this button that is allow access from anywhere. But you can also make sure that you add the IP address like that. So you can see here I have created the network access, I have created a new user, and also now we have our database. So now let's try and connect now to our database, or even, yeah, let's try and connect now to our database and see if our application will be able to remove these errors. So let us do that. So I'm going to run again the application here, and let's try and see. You can see server is running on port 8000, and also the DB connection is successful. So that means now our DB is set up, so that we have finished that, and then now we can continue building this application. So now we have other things that we need to do. So for example, we need to make sure that we implement the authentication, and we are going to use JWT. So here, let me first of all add the other folders that we are going to require. So we are going to have routes here, and here also we are going to have models. So let me add the models here, where we are going to create our schemas for our database. So this is models, So actually this is not a file, this is should be a folder. So let me delete it, and then I'll be able to create a models folder here, right there. And then here we can have our schema. So the first schema here that we are going to have is our user.js, and then also we are going to have another schema for MongoDB that we are going to call it parcel. So let me do that also. So this is parcel.js, like that. And then in these two, now we are going to create the schema. So let us start with the user schema here. So here we need also to make sure that we import mongoose here to be able to create the schema. So this is mongoose require, and then here the mongoose package, and also here we can be able to create our schema. So const, then this is user schema, so user schema, like that. And then here we can be able to use a function for mongoose that is called mongoose schema, and then here inside we can be able to have like an object, and this object, this is where we are going to have now the fields that we need our database to have. But before that, we are going to have to export this file. So I'm going to do module.exports, and then here I can be able to export this schema. So let me do mongoose, and then model here, and then here I can be able to first of all have the name for this collection for our database. So you can see here I have added it as user, but in our MongoDB it will be added as users, and I'm going to show you that. So here is a user schema, like that, and then we have exported the schema, and inside here now we can be able to create different fields. So for example, we'll have a full name for our user. So this one we need also to specify the type. So the type will be string, like that, and then also we are going to require that. So this is required, so required, and then for the require it is true. So because we need to make sure that we have, as we are sending the data to our MongoDB, and this data is for the user, we need to make sure that we also send the full name, or else it won't create that user. So that is one of the things that you need to do. Also, we have the email. So we have the email here, and then this one also it will be string, so like that. And then here it's require, and then it is true. You need to have email, and then here, because I don't want to take a lot of time, I need to copy and then paste several times. So for this one will be age, so the age of the user, like that. This one now will be number, and this one, because it is not a mandatory field, then we won't require this. So I'm going to remove this require. And then the other thing is here we need to have another field, and this field here is field country. So this is country here, country, like that. And then address, also we are going to have address of the user. So the address here, address. And then the other thing that also we are going to have is we are going to have the password. Actually, let me paste it here. So this is password, and also password is a string. So the password is string, and also it should be required here. So no user should be created without a password. And then also we are going to have status. So status here, we are going to have a status, and this status here, this will be a number, and this one it won't be required, but we are going to have default. So default here, default will be just 0. So this 0 meaning that this user has just been created, but email has not been sent to them. So the last thing also we are going to have here is the role. So the role of the user either is user is just a regular user or maybe admin. So this is a string, and here it is not required, but by default it will be added like a user, regular user, just user. So now we have all these field. So this field here for the user, but here also we need to have another thing. So this one is timestamp. So we are going to have timestamp here, and this we are going to add it as true. And that means that when we are adding this user, also we are going to record the time that we have created this user. So this is timestamp. You can be able to see it. Timestamp is after you have specified the fields here. So that is the schema for the user. Also, we need schema for the parcel. So let's go to this parcel.js here and be able to create the schema for the parcel. So here, let's do the same thing. So let me first start by importing mongoose. So require, and actually to save on some time, let me copy and then paste. So I'm going to copy this from the user, and I want to make sure that I save time here. So I'm going to select everything here and then Control D to make sure that also I have selected the other one. So actually I have not copied everything, so let me copy it again here. So copy this, and then I'm going to paste everything here like that, and then let me start by selecting this user schema here, and then Control D here to make sure that I select this one schema, and then I can call this now parcel schema, and then for the user now here it will change to parcel. So parcel like that, and then the other thing now here, the other thing that we are going to change now are the fields. So you can see all these fields. So I'm going to remove all the fields, and then we are going to be left with this full name here, and then I'm going also to change here. So this one will be from. So this is from which location or the address the parcel is being sent from. So here this one is required, and I'm going to copy this and then paste it several times. So the other field that you are going to have is to the destination, the region, or maybe the address that the parcel is being sent to. So also we are going to have the sender name. So this is sender name, and you can see here I'm not using camel case. So also we are going to have recipient name. So this is recipient name like that, and then also we are going to have their emails. So here we can have sender email. So sender email, and then also we can have recipient email. So let me do that here. So recipient email like that, and then the other thing that we are going to have is we're going to have weight. So the weight of the parcel. So here is the weight, and then here this one will be number, and also it will be required. So this is number, and then now the other thing that we are going to have here after weight is the cost. So the cost for sending this parcel. So this is have cost, and this one also is a number. So in terms of currency, and it will be in dollars. So this is a type number, and then requires true. So this is the cost. Also the other thing that we are going to have as extras is date, or we can have date here, and also I think date is very important, so we are going to leave it as require. So the other thing that we are going to have here is note. So I think note is not something that is mandatory, so I'm going to just give it as a string here, and it won't be required. But also because other parcel will not have like a note that will be attached to them. So here also we can have, after the note, we can have the feedback. So the feedback here, it will be a string, and the feedback will be written by the sender when also the parcel has been delivered to their destination. So this is a feedback from the sender. And then here also we are going to have the last thing, that is status. And the status here, this will be number here, and then this one will be not be required, but by default here, by default here, it will be 0. That means that parcel is pending, and also the email has not been sent to them. So background services will be able to send the email both to the sender and the recipient, and then it will just increment this number to 1. That means that it has sent the email. So when the parcel has been delivered, then the admin will be able to at least mark that parcel as delivered, and then he will or she will be update that parcel to status of 2. That means it's delivered, but the email has not been sent. So the background services will be able to look for any parcel that has a status of 2, and then also it will be able to send the email for delivered to both the sender and then the recipient. So that is the work of background services. So let me also make sure that I save this, and let me also make sure that I format the code so that I remove the extra spaces. And then also here I will be able to format it. And now we have our database set up here. So now in the next video, now we are going also to start authentication. So in the next video, we are going to start authentication and then proceed with our backend. So let me just end the video here, because also I don't want this video to be very long. So remember to like this video and also subscribe to this YouTube channel, and also turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified the next time I upload the other video. So see you, and then have a great